Welcome to Twitter for Teachers, using Twitter to grow your personal learning network. To get started, let's look over some of our objectives. First, we want to show teachers how to use Twitterverse, which is an online community that will create a large audience. We want to help you navigate through the basics of Twitter and best practices for keeping it professional. We also want to encourage the ethical practice of using Twitter as a medium for collaboration and educational strategies. So what is Twitter? The term for Twitter comes from its actual definition, a series of high-pitched calls or sounds. According to the trust and safety team at Twitter, teachers and students use Twitter for communication and conversation, so they can keep the class discussions going after class. Twitter is a great way to add context to the content, especially when students need to study a topic and find experts in the field and ask them questions on Twitter. Yes, you can actually ask experts on Twitter questions. So the power of Twitter, it allows you to direct access to primary sources, ideas, suggestions, and responses. So this opens the door for me to be able to access people such as Tammy Worcester, maybe Dr. Dupree, or TCA. All of these are at your fingertips. So to tweet or not to tweet, I know many people are reserved to use Twitter as a resource for their educational purposes or for professional use, but let's take a look at some of these options. First of all, if you want to tweet away, you want interesting current links with useful descriptions, links to your own content. You want to stimulate questions, occasional humor but appropriate posts, and responses to others with consideration and etiquette. So Twitter is a great place to go for professional use, and you would treat others on Twitter as if they were talking to you face to face. What I really like about Twitter is it gets to the point. Sometimes people like to be long-winded or share lots of information. I like that Twitter keeps it simple, grabs my interest, and if I want to read more about it, there's usually a link that I can go and get more information. What we shouldn't do with Twitter is to do content-free statements such as hello and goodbye. They have no value here. People on Twitter want to be able to gain knowledge or to gain purpose, and so hello and goodbye are not really necessary. Negative thoughts are not important on Twitter either, as extended conversations or old or inaccurate news. That one is really important. Twitter is here and now, and if it's even just a few days ago, sometimes it's outdated. Photos are wonderful for Twitter, especially a pic collage where they give you an overall view of what is going on and what you're wanting to share. Here's an example of how we share on Twitter what's going on in our different campuses. We were able to put together several pictures that give you a visual of what the students are doing, and then a short 140-character tweet. Please note, though, that if you are using pictures, they do take about 15 to 20 characters. So you usually want to insert your picture first and then write your text. You'll notice I have a hashtag there for FBISD. That we will talk about later, but that's really important, especially if you're wanting to do Twitter chat. Shortened URLs can be very helpful too. If you have a long URL, you'll want to use a URL shortener, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let me go ahead and go to my website. Here's a website I want to share with others on Twitter. But if you'll notice, the website is very long. And so what I can do is I can copy this website, and then I'm going to use one of the options that we showed you on the presentation, goo.gl, bit.ly, tinyurl, any of those work just fine. So I'm going to use my favorite, goo.gl. When I go to goo.gl, paste in my long URL address and ask to shorten it. It will ask you if you're a robot, you simply just click the check and then select shorten URL. So now you'll notice how much shorter my URL is compared to the first time. So I will simply can do a Control-C. I'm going to go to my Twitter account and type a short post. Now I still have 66 characters left. That's what's nice about Twitter, is it will track that for you. But I get shortened to the point of what I'm wanting to share. I may even use the hashtag grant. And what that does is allow me to share out to different areas of interest, and people can just look those hashtags up and find them instantly. I'm going to share more about that later. I could then simply just click tweet and it would send that tweet out for me. So there's some Twitter jargon that you need to learn about. You've probably heard of retweets and trending and followers and tweets, and it's like, what does all this? It's kind of like a foreign language to me. So let's go over some of those items today. So first of all, a tweet. It's a message of 140 characters or less that can include external links, an @ or a hashtag. More on these later, or just simple text. So here's an example of one with Nearpod. You'll notice that it has to the point, 140 characters or less of what they want to say. It includes a link and a couple of hashtags to gain interest. So I see something that's posted, I really like it, I want to share it with somebody else, then I'm going to do what's called a retweet. And what that means is I'm going to share with all of those I follow on Twitter. To retweet, you'll notice there is two arrows, and if I click on those two arrows, that will let me retweet. It's also known as RT. So if you ever see RT, that means it's a retweet. Trending topics, this is what everyone is searching for and talking about. This is basically what is popular today. Promoted tweets are tweets that companies can pay to trend. So they pay their money and then Twitter goes ahead and pushes it. Sometimes you'll see that promoted tweet, and that just means that somebody has paid to make that tweet more noticeable to all those on Twitter. Followers and following, these are really important, especially for even the beginner. So a follower and following, this is how you link yourself to automatically see what others are tweeting without having to search. So my followers are those who are following me. Following means those are who I am following. And so both of those are important to manage. So the @ and the hashtag, okay? At one time, hashtag meant £. I know that can be confusing. So let's take a little bit of time to take a look at that. So the @ is how people can locate you on Twitter. This is called your handle. So if you were around during the CB time, it was kind of the same idea. We all had our nicknames with the CBs. It works the same with Twitter. Everybody has their nickname. Your nickname can be your true real name, or it might be a name that you're known for throughout the social media. So this is also a name that can be changed if you so choose. So if you decide on one username or handle, you can change it without losing your account. A hashtag is a really powerful tool. If you create or use a hashtag, everyone that uses that hashtag will be in a group. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to go back over to my Twitter account, and you'll notice that I use the Grant Chat hashtag. So when I go ahead and open a new tab and paste that in, it's going to bring up that hashtag. So this is what it's going to look like. You'll see all the tweets that are related to that specific hashtag. It's all pulled together. And this is actually a special way of setting it up within someone's blog. If I were not to do something that fancy and maybe I just did a regular hashtag, so I'm going to pull up the one that we did for the Amazing Race, which was a district initiative. So when I click on that hashtag, you will see all tweets related specifically to that hashtag. So what does that mean? That means when I post something on Twitter, I have to put in hashtag AmazingFBISD chat to make it show up here. And then it becomes like a storyline. So this was a Twitter chat that we had done with the Amazing Race. And I'm going to talk more about Twitter chats here a little bit later. A Twitter feed automatically updates with tweets from those that follow you. It is a wealth of resource and information, and you want to be careful who you follow. You want to make sure that who you're following represents you, as this is very public, and we don't say that to discourage you from using Twitter, but to kind of keep that in mind as you're using Twitter because of the publicity of it. And then consider creating a professional and a personal account. It is generally good to just kind of keep those separated, and really, though I have an account, I have one account and I use it professionally, and every now and then I might post something personal on there, but it's okay if others know about it. I'm not posting all of my kids' pictures or, my great vacation to wherever I went that I wished I went. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're using Twitter. It's just kind of helpful to keep those two separate or safely together. So do you have an AVI? This is a profile picture or an avatar. You want to keep in mind, how are you representing yourself? And so as you can see from here, these are generally not very good pictures because you cannot see your face very well. You want to make sure you don't select a pixelated picture because it's not clear and it's blurry, it's just not good. Or even worst of all, have no picture at all. A lot of people select avatars, which are okay, or a true picture of yourself, which is fine as well. And generally you want something kind of up close so that people can see your face and have kind of a face with a name. So let's go ahead and explore Twitter some more. We talked about hashtags and people to follow or handles. So on the left side of this screen, you see a lot of educational hashtags that are helpful to follow and learn from. And so they generally have these on specific times and days. Some are on a weekly basis, some are on a monthly basis. It just kind of depends. And then we also have on the right hand side companies, educational consultants, and administrators of Fort Bend ISD that we recommend you following. Many times when following others, you will also discover someone new that you're like, hey, I can really learn something from that person, so then you can follow that person as well. I want to spend a little bit of time with my Twitter account so I can show you the basic function of Twitter while using it on a computer. So when I went to my Twitter homepage, this is what it's going to look like. In the center, I'm going to see all tweets of those who I'm following, including my tweets as well. On the top left side, you'll see the home. If I select home, it will refresh my page and bring up any new tweets that I have going on. I can select moments, notifications, or messages. Moments I don't really use, so I'm not going to spend time with that. I think that's something that if that interests you, you'll seek that information out. If you click on notifications, this is any time that I am mentioned on Twitter, or someone has liked my tweet, or someone has retweeted something I have sent. And so this is great. It's just kind of helps me keep track so I don't forget or lose track of anything that I need to follow up on. And so as I scroll through, you will see that I have where this one, for example, has the heart, so it's showing that I liked it. This here is very helpful because it helps me keep track of who is following me. And so I see I have 2 followers here, so I'm going to take a look at them. When I mouse over, I can quickly see who that person is, their description, and any other information I might need to know about them. This is actually a company, and I do want to follow that company. So I'm going to click the little icon, and then I'm now following that person. And so I'm following them back, as you would say, because they started following me, and now I'm following them. That is completely up to you on whether you follow them back or not. It is not offensive if you do not follow somebody back. You can make that choice on your own. Here in the green, I can see if I have gotten a retweet. So here's a post that I was mentioned in, and so you can see my name right here, and this particular company retweeted it. So now, not only was it tweeted out and my name was mentioned, but then the retweet was mentioned, I was mentioned in the retweet as well. And so that just lets me know who's retweeting, who's tweeting, and just kind of keep track of that if that interests me at all. So now I'm going to go ahead and scroll up to the top and go back to messages. I'm not going to click on messages because those are private. Private messages can be sent through Twitter just like you would send an email. And so I can have those messages and go, it's called a direct message or DM. And I can have a direct message go to somebody, but I do need to have them following me and I need to be following them. If they're not following you, you cannot direct message them. So sometimes you might have to ask them publicly, hey, can you follow me so I can send you a direct message? Or can you please send me your email so I can contact you? That kind of thing. And I've always gotten a response in some way from somebody who I needed to direct message, but they were not following me. On the right-hand side, they give suggestions. So because I'm working with education and educational companies and things like that, then Twitter automatically puts together who I should follow. These are just suggestions and obviously not something of a requirement or anything like that. On the left-hand side, I can go to trends. This is what's trending right now on Twitter. At this point, I don't really show a big interest in that because a lot of times it's not related to what I'm doing, but it does show on the left-hand side. If I'm searching for somebody, I can go to search Twitter. I can also look for hashtags as well. So if I want to search for a specific person, you can either put the @ in front or you can just leave it plain. So I'm just going to not add the @ and you'll see when I type in the word Jeffrey, I get some choices. And what's nice, this is why a picture is important, because if I want to follow William Jeffrey, it helps to know, okay, that's for sure the Jeffrey I want, and I know that I can access that person. And it'll give you some choices. Another feature that I like on Twitter is if you want to follow somebody famous, for example, JJ Watt. So I'm going to go to JJ Watt, and there'll be a lot of times famous people will have someone else create a Twitter account with their name on it, but it's not officially them. So to ensure that I'm following the person, for example, JJ Watt, you'll see a little check mark right here. That means that's a verified account. That means Twitter has taken the time to make sure, yes, that's JJ Watt's account. It is not someone else trying to just promote him. It is truly JJ Watt. And so that's helpful as well when you start following famous people like sports, or if you want to follow the president, for example, others that are on Twitter in education. That's just a helpful resource that Twitter offers to those who are using Twitter. If I want to make changes to my account, you'll see right here I have my picture. So when I click on profile settings, go to settings, and then you can see I can make changes to my username as long as it has not been taken. I can update my email address. They got some different options in here that you can make some changes to. And of course on the left-hand side you have some options as well. And so that's very helpful. And that's about it with Twitter. And it covers what you'll need to know for the basics of Twitter. Oh, I forgot one thing. Right. The last thing I want to show you is how to add a picture or a file of some sort. So under this link here, I can go to add photos or videos. So I simply just click on it, and it's going to bring up my files and allow me to upload a picture or a file if I want to. So when I select the picture and I open, it's going to attach it. But note that now I went from 66 to 35. So you will use up some of your characters when you're uploading a file. You can add your location, you can add a GIF. A GIF is an animated picture, and you can also add a poll if you want to just get quick feedback. It's really helpful with students if you want to just get a quick yes or no kind of thing from students, or pick A or B, so that's nice. I've also seen people add polls in there just to get feedback from the Twitter world. So I think that's about all I wanted to cover with you with Twitter. Of course, if you have questions, you can either Google it or feel free to contact me, and I am happy to help. Be sure to watch the other videos showing you how to use a Twitter chat or creating an account if necessary. And as always, if you need help, just let me know.